Kufr and its counterpart khvpr is coming from the Arabic root kfr, meaning to cover, conceal the truth, and Hebrew kafoper, kofer, from the root kpr, meaning to deny, reject, or ransom, share a common Abrahamic origin. Kufr as a public fall from grace was not the first time a society tightened its grasp on those defying the path. The Mosaic commandments marked the first instance of a social order casting protesters out. Christianity was the modifying order that temporarily relieved this impulse to punish nonconformity to the teachings of Jesus, but it lasted only a few decades after the Nicaea Council. Let us not forget that religion, from the Latin root religare, meaning to bind together, in its etymological sense refers to bringing people together. Yet even to this day, such unity has often been enforced through coercion. Though Jesus had seemingly lifted that burden, it took only decades after Constantine's support for the burning of infidels to begin in Christianity. From personal spiritual therapy to group religious law, and back again in humanity's earliest spiritual stages in the time of Noah, the bond between a person and God was intimate and personal. Guidance was offered, never enforced. One could accept or reject it, with the consequence resting solely between the soul and its creator. The flood in Noah's story symbolized the loss that comes from turning away from divine truth, yet there was no machinery of formal punishment or public shaming. Generations later, Abraham revived the same essential call. Worship the one God, live morally, and transform inwardly. Like Noah, he spoke directly to individuals, appealing to their reason and conscience. Yet Abraham, too, was rejected, mocked, marginalized, and cast aside. His mission was still personal therapy, persuasion over compulsion. Then came Moses, inheriting a scattered and enslaved people. For them, only collective peace could secure individual peace. Unity, discipline, and a shared social code were required. This marked a new phase, religion as group therapy. The commandments were given not merely for personal salvation, but to safeguard the community. Adultery, idol worship, and Sabbath breaking ceased to be private sins. They became public crimes, punishable by stoning or exclusion. The reasoning was clear. If one disobeyed, others might follow, and the fragile unity could collapse. Social order took precedence over individual freedom. But the cost was high. Lawbreakers were no longer simply wrong. They became enemies of God. Blasphemy, heresy, and apostasy were treated as existential threats. Labels like kafir, denier from the root to cover the truth, and pasha, transgressor, turned spiritual disagreement into a danger to the community's survival. When Jesus appeared, he struck at the heart of this system. His words, "Let the one without sin cast the first stone," turned the other cheek. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Dismantle the punitive framework of group therapy. He called people back to inward transformation and mercy, as Noah and Abraham had done. The Mosaic law had served its purpose, but was now exceeding its bounds. Yet societies tend to drift back toward enforcement. After Jesus, disputes over his nature, prophet or God, mortal or divine, hardened into rigid dogma. Soon, persecution of dissenters replaced persuasion. The heretic became as dangerous as the idol worshipper once was under Moses. By the time Muhammad came, Christianity was weighed down by theological confusion and superstition. His mission restored uncompromising monotheism and a disciplined community. But discipline brought back group law principles, restricting sacred spaces to believers, punishing those who disrupted unity, and applying harsh measures to the fasik, transgressor. In classical Islamic jurisprudence, Quran 533 equated spreading corruption in the land, mufsid fil ard, with crimes worthy of execution, mutilation, or exile, echoing Moses' model of protecting the group even at the expense of individual autonomy. Today, many question whether such measures still belong in faith. They argue that spiritual corruption should be countered through teaching and dialogue, not physical punishment, that the most a community should impose is social limitation, not violence. From Noah's personal invitation to righteousness, to Abraham's solitary call, to Moses' enforced commandments, to Jesus' restoration of life's true purpose, and then to Islam's reintroduction of capital punishment to preserve order. The arc of religious authority is unmistakable. Yet in our time, when enforcing obsolete laws breeds a new generation of outlaws, it is worth asking, perhaps the true mufsid fil ard, the real corruptors on earth, are those who cling to dead statutes, strangling societies with rules that neither work nor deserve to survive.